Alright, hello everyone, for another episode of LTD2 casting, and today we will cast Vitterson's game. And so Vitterson is currently trying to reach rank 1, and this is a very high elo game, and we shall see how they do fare against each other. So it will be Witherstone and Booboy against Chuviz and Adamus. So we did see some of the names previously. Adamus and Booboy did show in previous episodes as well. Um, it will be interesting to see where we go. I hope we're not too far off into the game. I was a bit late to start, and also my computer is having some issues here. But yeah, okay, we are at the beginning of wave 1, so we didn't miss much. So we'll just catch up really fast on the start of the players. We do have Vidgerson going for Wildshroom. We do have a Windhawk start from Booboy that is now able to hold wave 1 on its own to a no-sun, but it did receive King Ups, but that is not additional power to the wave. We do have a Berserker start from Chuviz, benefiting any 5 worker starters, which is everybody except himself, which is also a Crusher start from Adamus. So it'll be interesting to see what everybody goes for, but we do see the 6 worker from Adamus, so going for through the aggressive route, but Booboy going for the Snell. That is what we're talking about for the slow wave of the Zerker, benefiting the 5 worker, early 5 workers player. It does, I think it allowed him to get the Snell before income, and Adamus will be leaking quite hard here to that Snell. So Crusher start is very risky when you decide to go for a high push like that, because you're susceptible to the Snell, as we show here. And you will see a decent leak here at 67 if I remember correctly. Maybe with the Crusher changes a bit lower, but I think it's around 67. 75, it's even more than I remembered here. Maybe it was a bit unlucky. Maybe if this one dies, it's 67 or 63. So we do have the drawback of having the 6 worker push from the Crusher. To a no-send it holds, and you can easily transition to something that holds wave 3 if you have the correct answer. It would have been possibly a Fire Archer, and I do believe he does go again for the he does still go for the Fire Archer, but Booboy will be able to go for a 60 sand because this is very slow in the middle from Chuvis, and thus Adamus will be in trouble. Yes, he can't get the Snail, and so what this means is that if he goes for the Fire Archer, then the DT will go towards the Fire Archer and kill it very fast. But let's see what he decides to do in due time. We do have Chuvis going for the Berserker Chain Fist. Should be fine. Never saw it against 3 Snails, so it'll be interesting to see how it fares. But we do have the Brute Sense from both Chuvis and Adamus. And we do have the Fire Archer, so this will be another leak from Adamus. Or will it? Wait, that is fewer units than I remember going on the Fire Archer, so maybe he's still alive here. Looks like it will be alright. Alright, so... and then the Brutes, how are they doing here? This will be possibly a small leak here from Vidder, but the hold from Booboy? No. Or is it? Wait, that is very close for both players. Chuvis leaking as well to Triple Snell, so Triple Snell does work against this positioning, and Booboy does hold. So a lot of king damage will go on Chuvis and Adamus. Vidgerson and Booboy does receive some king damage, but way fewer. So Adamus will try to catch back up through income, but he is no longer ahead in workers. He's even with Buboy and Wither, but we do see the resend coming from Buboy, and it will be another 60. And he needs to protect the fire archer here. If he doesn't, he will be in a lot of trouble, because the same scenario will happen again. He does have the ranger here, so I'm not 100% sure how it does, but it will be interesting to see. But a lot of sends are coming. It was 60 sen also from Chavez onto Buboy. Not a lot of damage on that wave except from the Serpent, so I'm not entirely sure how he will do. Alright, here you see the DT killing the Fire Archer here, not protected, and thus another big leak from Adamus. And this is a hold from Buboy again, so Buboy really having a good build to resist the resends from Chuviz again and again. But he decides to not push this one. Because he's looking to a threshold. He knows that for next wave he needs either a big tank or big damage. So I think he goes for the Violet. It will be his best to be good on both 5 and 6, and probably go for the quarter on wave 7 or 8, depending on the sense he receives. So even though it is important to push workers, it is also important to ensure yourself to reach your certain thresholds, because if you just keep pushing, you add a lot of gargoyles, or a lot of small units that are vulnerable. So it's still very important to reach those threshold, and when you have those, you know that afterwards you can push quite a lot. So you will see Buboy being overvalued, but he is now having a Violet that can cover him on multiple wave. The resend here will allow him to push 2 workers, because he's still good in next wave, and will be able to shift to get the quarter on wave 7 without any problems. So I think pushing 2 workers from Buboy would be the correct play. If we see Adamus is trying to stabilize here, he's still keeping up in workers, but in value he is very far under. So he's taking a risk here to get his own threshold, which is the Harbinger. Does he get enough from the wave? I think he needs to send now. Yes, okay, so he does go for income. This means that he will get his Harbinger. He could have gotten it without sending, but sending is very good for him to try and catch back up in value. You will be sad to see that he does not receive anything, but if he is able to scale with income while being even in workers, he has a chance to catch back up. But he really needs to play this carefully, because Buboy did push the 2 workers that I expected here. He does not shift for... Okay, he shifts a little for the color, and I think this is the correct play. He does receive another send, but this should be fine with a Violet dealing the damage. If it is not enough, then it might be a small leak, but I do not think so, but I can be proven wrong. As for Witherspoon, we do have a lot of natural defense, so I'm sure the Drake is doing a lot of work, and it does, and it's looking like a very good league for Adamus to get back some gold that he lost in the early game. So a Drake plus a Roko, I think it's very good for Adamus that was struggling the early game to try and catch back some gold. But Witherson and Buwe are still saving, while Adamus and Chuviz are now stuck at 7 workers, while Buboy and Witherson are now at 9 and 10 workers each. So this means more Omisium at a cost of some value. So do they decide to go here? No, they decide to go for wave 8. So the reasoning behind that is the Harbinger. Respecting the fact that Adamus has the Harbinger, wave 7 is a possible hold for Adamus. And so now we need to see how Adamus decides to play that, but he needs to get a bonk for wave 8 to have any chance of possibly holding. Going for veterans is a good option here. And he does shift here, a bold shift here from Adamus or maybe he did not have time to fully build, but I mean, he will be happy because this shift allows him to get the bunk, which is crucial because if he gets the bunk, then he can boost some veterans and have enough damage to possibly clear wave 8. So now the most important thing is that they need to go for income. We do have the Ghost Knight from Boo Boy. Witherspoon is still waiting on his son. It would be a pack leader. Okay, pack leader paired with some frontline. So interesting move, to be honest. So income sent from Chuvis and Adabas is the correct move as well. I mean, Chuvis is not that far under. Pack leader will go. Pack leader will go towards both those berserkers and so have a chance to do pretty well. Um, Sadly, this is not a full cat, but having a full cat here protected by two berserkers can do very well here. So we'll focus on this. The income sends are still big, but they do seem to have the builds to hold that. So the Ghost Knight has been dragged away. The bunk is surviving a long time. There's some damage dealt by the veterans, so he will clear a lot from the wave. But once the Ghost Knight goes back onto the Harbinger, then he will leak the 4 creeps plus the Ghost Knight. We do also have a leak from Chuvis, but it is not terrible, to be honest. Like, having received a Ghost Knight here, only leaking 4 creeps of the wave is very impressive by Adamas, especially with the early game that he had. It is still king damage, but the long save, someone could argue it was not worth it, because Chuvis is near the recommended value of wave 10 already, and Adamas is at the recommended value of wave 9. So this means that any extra gold they possibly can push if they want to create a pressure point. Also, we need to keep in mind that there is Savior in the game. They're not presented, but there is Savior, which could reset the game. Since the long save did not kill them, this means that we're back into an even game. We do have workers coming in from both Chuvis and Adamus. But overall, we have Boy 2 workers ahead. He is the one who got fed in the early game. He did long save after a bit. But yeah, so the gold is approximately a slight gold advantage from Witherspoon and Boo Boy. But also there is more workers on the side of Boo Boy. So let's see. We do have a good composition for Adamus to try and recover here, because on wave 10 he can go for Daphnes. Wave 10 is covered also for Chuvis with those berserkers. He can prepare for wave 11, but 11 Adamus does have is possibly his Haven if you go Savior. So I think the play here will be to go Savior for both Chuvis and Adamus to try and reset the game. And we do have a small income here from Chuvis to get a threshold here. He wants the boar on the left side to prepare for 11 as we spoke of. And oh, Adam is preparing for wave 11 here with those two bunks. So he is confident that with those two bunks he is able to clear wave 10 with that single ranger, which is very possible. But it is still very risky. But in his position, he needs to take some risk to try and get back into the game. So they are betting on the fact that there will be a send on wave 11 or 12, and they will use that to recover. So now the savior should come from both Adamus and Chuvis. While there is a possibility of going for giant snails, on Booboy and Witherspoon, having the board does dissuade a little bit the choice of the giant snails. Now Witherspoon is probably taking Sorcerer onto the Radiant Halo to increase his damage output. Well, for Booboy, it's quite hard to see. He can go for the giant snails himself because he is sending into a Daphne. And when you have a lot of single target damage, then Giant Snails is still very useful. So is deciding for Savior, so less pressure onto Adamus. That is what they want. They want to recover. So using that Savior is perfect. They are almost even in workers while having a lot more value. Well, no, close values. Buboy just making me lie, and he has the most value. Uh, but yeah, bigger sense, of course, towards Truvis and Adamus, but they did use the Savior to reset the game. We do see the Sorcerer Arc of Justice from Vidison, um, as predicted, knowing that the Giant Snails does not do anything for him against uh, boars. So now we need to emphasize on to when people want to send. Chuvis and Adamus are looking towards wave 14. So that's why you don't see a lot of push from Adamus. Adamus is not pushing a lot, so this indicates a long save here. They want to go for a long save onto 14, I believe is the call for them. 14 or 15, it's not entirely sure yet. Um, and we do have a holder for 13 in Chuvis. 14 is a bit debatable who's going to cover that, but I think that with the amount of workers that we see from Animus, he will try to overbuild for wave 14 at least. Like, he does have the gate here just built here. I don't think this is the right play, but he needs an answer for 13 as well. But looking at the berserkers, I think Buboy and Vidison are also looking towards wave 14, especially seeing that gate now. So I think he shot himself a little bit in the foot here by building that gate, because it removes any possibility of receiving a send on 13. And we do see Vidison and Buboy pushing a lot more here, more aggressively. So they will put a lot more pressure, and so the lowest push does not work. And oh, they make me lie. They go for a send here. So what would be the reaction here? So Chuva is going for the hold here on this wave with Fatalizers. Will this be enough? That is a good question because the 4-eye is still very good against the Fatalizer here. Okay, so we do see more gates here. So they are reading the play that they are going with 13. Centaur very good against what Adamus has. The gates and everything. Any summoners are vulnerable to Centaur because the summons have normally lower HP. And so yeah, so it needs to die fast, and looks like it's perfectly getting focused, but the damage is done already. So let's see how they do. Uh, it is still a lot of value on both Truth and Adamus, so they are possibly doing very well here. I mean, the targeting is awful on Adamus, to be honest, and we do also see a leak from Truvis, despite the value because of the 4 being so good against those massive tanks that he has. So is this enough to kill them? That is a lot of units to the king, and also a 4-eye. So I do believe it is close to game, if not game already, because they have no king ups. So the call was obvious by Chuvas and Adamus that they wanted to go for a long save, and that's why they pushed a little bit less workers, and we do see here the game going towards Witherspoon and Buboy, and yeah, it was really Adamus trying to go for a greed here. The slow wave did allow the snail before income, or close to income, from Buboy here. I did not quite see correctly if it was or not. But just this fact just messed up Adamus so hard, because after that the waves were super long because you have a Berserker in the middle holding all those wheels. And so allows for 60 recent despite having the Fire Archer. Uh, despite having the Fire Archer here. So, and also, oh, that was 4 snails. Okay, so that's why so that was an 80 cent from Witherspoon. So yeah, from that there was a huge goal lead from Buboy and Witherspoon. They were able to capitalize on that on Adamus weak waves and things like that. Even though Adamus were able to continue following on workers, he did not have the value to keep up and try and hold the sends from the equal worker count of the opponent. So it is perfectly fine to try for that, but you need to be aware of the risk when you do that. And that is something that really bit Adamus quite hard here. Because if this did not happen, he could have had a lot to send on wave 3 to Witherspoon, and it could have been enough for him to get the veteran boosted, and that would have been enough to hold any 60 cents here. If we look here, I think it speaks for itself here. If we go for the gold advantage from the team, it was always towards Witherspoon and Boo Boy because of the uh, early mishaps of Adamus. We did see close to a comeback here in terms of golds uh, when they tried to resist the long save, but on wave 8 they came back here very strong with a Ghost Knight Send and things like that. They almost held, but almost is not enough when they try to recover. And if we look at workers, it was a clear advantage for the West team towards all the game. So on that, thank you for watching, and there will be more in the future. So see you guys, and have a